Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me shout out my beautiful, wonderful member and mod, Cheeks. Thank you so much for this. It's so cute. I was telling everybody that I'm working on getting like a bookshelf so I can put some of the little different gifts and Amazon things you guys sent me. This is so cute. Thank you so much. Cheeks sent me two of these. Thank you, love. Shout out to you. Thank you everybody for being here. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Um, where do I get started? Where do we go from here? And that's really where my mind is at. I want to shout out a couple people. First of all, of course, I want to shout out Miriam. I want to shout out Natalie Webster from Life After a Cult, Scientology. Thank you so much. I want to shout out so many people because your guys' commentary is very important. Your voice is very important, so thank you. I also want to shout out Mike Brown. We're gonna watch a little bit of Mike Brown, but for those that are like, I don't even know what's going on, Rabbit, tell me what's going on. I was made aware that Mr. Rinder had a blog. I knew he had a blog, but that he did some blogging about um, the situation with Miriam, and he addressed me, and he addressed Aaron, and he addressed other folks that were brought in that I had I didn't know. I had heard of Mike Brown, but I didn't really know a whole lot about what was the issue. And then also Jamie Mustard was another person that was brought up in this very lengthy post. Now, the initial post that was put out there had Miriam's police report and the 2017 filing of it. And I mean, I was just like, when I saw it, I was so taken back by it because that's not how you treat victims. Miriam's not here. So it's this is me. This is my turn. This is my turn to talk and tell y'all how I'm feeling about it. There have been people since he posted that post that have been there's been a lot of trolling, a lot of tagging and stuff. So I don't when somebody's trolling me, I don't respond. I have too many trolls, like way too many. Um So I just don't respond, and some of them are definitely you could tell that they are fans of the show, specifically fans of Mr. Rinder, like diehard Rinder fans, and I completely understand. I'm gonna say this and start this by saying I have never name called Mr. Rinder whatsoever. I have questioned a lot, as anybody with a brain should and can. You should be questioning everything. You should be saying what it is that you feel and how you feel, because that's who we are. Now, let me take this back a little bit because I was chatting with somebody this morning. I was such a fan of the show, Leah Remini, The Aftermath. Okay. I watched when it all came out, I watched it. But from the time that it came out to where I'm at today, if you would have told me that the co-host or the person would have written and addressed me in his blog, I am just like, wow, I would have thought y'all were lying to me. I feel like it's a bit of a Darvo attack. And for those that don't know what Darvo is, it is when somebody denies the behavior, attacks the individual doing the confronting, reverse the role of victim and offender. So to start, when Mr. Rinder starts his blog by saying, "Don't attack Miriam," but yet puts me and others in this situation where we are attacked, it really said a lot about me. I mean, it said a lot to me about him as a person. I've never name called him. I just called out the things that didn't make sense. Have I dropped some F bombs? I absolutely have. Have I criticized the other channel in terms of like you have victims out here and people that could really tell their stories, and you're over here talking about Tom Cruise? I absolutely have. Very much so. Um, but then again, that is my opinion. I have a brain and I'm allowed to have it, just like every single one of you guys here. So somehow I have been put in this position, okay, and I don't want to misconstrued words, that I am a rabbit out of David Miscavige's hat. When somebody holds up a mirror to you, or when somebody points something out, suddenly we're something out of David Miscavige. It's the same people that say that's an OSA troll. Like, I get it, but it's the same, right? And so it just really blew my mind that somehow somebody who had questioned or even provide a platform to victims, which is what the show did many years ago, comes into question. Now, let's be very clear. I'm a YouTuber, right? So you're absolutely right. I get clicks, I get views, and I get likes, and I get dislikes, right? That's what I get. People have then said, well, you're monetizing off of a victim's story. The victims reached out to me. She wanted me, and I assisted. I was merely helping by giving her a platform. Other criticism came and said, you didn't get Mike Rinder's story. When the email was sent out to Mr. Rinder, it asked him, do you have a statement towards these questions? Can you give a statement? Maybe you want to get an interview. Maybe there's something you want to say to this. He sent it to his attorney or a attorney. I don't know if it's his attorney, but a attorney who gave a statement. So the offer for him to provide, because I wasn't just going to platform Miriam and not allow the other side to tell their side, right? That that would be the responsible thing. If I'm being attacked and you're bringing somebody to a platform that's going to attack me, please get my statement, get my take. That's what I did. Thank you. Thank you. And you guys have to check out Liz Ferris's channel. As a victim, thank you for being here. Your voice is needed. No name calling and no putting down. Thank you for helping get our voices out. Thank you, Miss Liz Ferris. You are truly awesome. And I was mm, your story is amazing. And I'm so sorry that I'm sorry. I don't even know. I don't have words. Um, that is how I maneuvered. I with the email, it specifically said on the body, if you have any thoughts, concerns, questions about these questions, or do you want to give a statement, please email me. I didn't expect him to answer any of the questions. I don't even think Miriam expected that as well. What I expected was either he wasn't going to answer, or he was going to answer and say F off, which is fine, it's totally in his right, or he was going to send it to an attorney, which is what happened. Completely get it. But nobody can say that I didn't reach out to him to get the other side. No, he was sitting on the other side. He's given his other side. Matter of fact, he released a police report, Miriam's police report, and then redacted after or took it out of the link after the pushback that he got. So I'm trying to understand the fan base anger. I completely get it. I get it. You guys are in your right to be angry. I get it. Absolutely. That being said, though, I'm not going to respond to any of the, Aaron, I'm sure will figure out his situation. Shout out to Aaron. As far as how he plans to proceed to move and respond, that's all on him. But I do want to be very clear about something is that that's great that he's given his side. I think that that's important. But you can't come at me for monetizing or having a monetized channel way before any of this went down. And let me be very clear. Okay. One of the first stories I did on Scientology, for those that were asking, well, Rabbi, you saw somebody with 200,000, getting some kind of attention, and you decided to jump on. No, sir. No, ma'am. No ham. This is January 26th of 2023. David Miscavige missing or hiding. And amongst other true crime topics that I was talking about, this is around the time that they were trying to find him and things were getting a little hot, and heavy for Mr. David Miscavige, for the cult leader. Okay. Here's another one, January 30th of 2023. Amongst other topics, this is one that I mentioned before. Dr. Eric Berg is a Scientologist and son Ian. I had said that as well, right? I'm just giving you guys a lengthy time frame of the many times I've talked about Scientology way before the Aftermath Foundation had something going on. Now, for those that don't know, this is my channel. There's a search bar on the channel right here. It says, I put in Danny Masterson, and look at all of these Danny Masterson related videos way before the aftermath-ish took the situation. Now, I'm sorry, Mr. Let me block this person. You are no, I. People tend to come into your channel and you can be very polite to them, and then they go and disparage you in another channel, acting like you are somehow something to do or something like that. No, 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 no. Okay. If I'm polite to you on my channel and then I see you like misconstruing or missaying something, I'm sorry. I just like, don't be a fake and a fraud and a phony to my face and then go and carry bones somewhere else. I will immediately block you because that is what you call trolling. Okay. And I was fairly nice to, and the person that I just blocked knows it. I was fairly nice to you. I apologize to you for whatever other, you felt like you were attacked in my chat. I just don't do the fake, fraud, and phony two-faced stuff. I'm not even going to call you by name. May you be blessed. God bless you. Okay. So here you go. I've talked about Danny Masterson for months before. Look it. I talked about Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. I talked about all of this months before the Aftermath Foundation. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amongst other things, please note that I talk about all kinds of topics as it pertains to true crime. Do I monetize my content? Absolutely. Let me be very clear. My background. It's not just a YouTuber. I know I just say, well, I'm just a little YouTuber. I know I joke around like that. It's not just a YouTuber. Okay. I have a bachelor's degree in criminology with a minor in social science. I have a master's in social work. Okay. I've worked in government and nonprofit and community work as a whole for many, many years. Am I trained and qualified to talk to people about trauma and everything? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I had been hired to advocate, because social workers can be hired to advocate for people. If Mirriam or anybody had hired me to advocate for them, then that would have been outside of here, right? And I would have advocated and done what I had to do to advocate for this client. I'm allowed to advocate, just like you're allowed to get an Emmy and write a book and get an Emmy off of people's stories. I'm so tired of people on YouTube trying to money shame you for doing content that clearly I'm qualified to do. I didn't know I had to be like I had to run it by you. And you know what's so crazy is you don't need to like you don't need to be qualified in terms of well, let me back that up. You don't need to have a degree to have empathy. You don't need to have a degree to be able to connect with people. You don't need that. But a lot of people are at least at the very basic lacking this trauma informed concept that needs to happen. Miriam is not the first victim I've interviewed here. If you have been here on my channel, you know that I have interviewed victims before. You know that I have done, and I've gone to the trenches and I go in the hornet's nest and I get stung every so often. You know that my background, I've had it and I've talked about it a couple times. I'm not Hollywood, guys. I'm a regular schmegular person. I promise you. Never made $1 million in my life. Don't have an Emmy, but I am a monetized channel. And you're not going to shame me for a click, a view, and a like because there's so many others that are doing it. You just mm. um I still don't personally feel like he is a bad person. I'm just going to say that. Um I don't. I like I said, I was a sub of I was a fan of the show. I really was. Um, I just if somebody would have told me when the show came out, what is in 2017, 2016, it's been a while, that somehow all of this was going to be turned on me, I would have been, y'all are crazy. I don't think so. I never, never, right? I just didn't know. I didn't know. I want to talk a little bit about what Mr. Mike Brown said. And like, I shared his video and he went under my comments and he's like, it's unfortunate that we've gotten to meet this. Like, I've never talked to Mike Brown before. And it's just amazing, right? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Hold up. Now, let me read a little bit of the comments and see what you guys are saying. Thank you so much. I'm a seahorse. Thank you. I hit a nerve. Apparently, I never thought I was gonna get named, which is fine. He's entitled to his opinion. Mike will still be in the MLM cult if Davey wasn't head cultist. It's a bonus that you're trauma informed. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I'm a seahorse. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much. And I'll acknowledge a couple of other comments. People can't break their habits. I think it's his habit. I think I've been Darvoed. I think to start with the argument that don't attack Miriam, but then what? Attack everybody else? Attack everybody else? But Miriam came to my platform. So don't attack Miriam, but attack everybody else? Is that what the goal was? I don't get it. But hey, thank you, Melissa. Give yourself grace. You are reporting what we all need to know with an open-minded and heart. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Chico, thank you. I mean, don't we are here on YouTube. Aren't they monetizing their videos? Aren't they? Regina says, Rabbit Mike is attacking you, Mike, Miriam, Aaron, and everyone else because he doesn't like his abuses brought to light. His emotional intelligence and There is a level, Regina, thank you for this comment. There is a level of emotional intelligence that you need to have in order to understand what role you played in when a victim is telling you you did this or something happened here, or like you really need to have an emotional intelligence to be able to take that. But I think part of the issue is that he hasn't quite accepted that, because how can he? He went from being an executive to, or at least up on that chain along with the other lady up on this chain, to leaving. And I'm not taking away from the fact that none of that was traumatic for them. I truly believe it. But I personally feel like there is a gap in understanding that they could have been abused. They were abused, right? I don't take that away from them. I don't know, to a certain degree, so much so that your emotional intelligence could have been stunted. I absolutely agree with that. And you also have to understand something. Pay attention to who is subscribed to you. Who is your YouTube subscriber? And go back, because the analytics will tell you every demographic that you need to know about your subscribership. If your subscribership, and you say that you are an organization to stand there to help those that are leaving, which is absolutely great. But then that means that you're also helping the newer generation that is leaving. All of these protesters that are out there, which by the way, shout out to Confident Chris, because I saw a little bit of his video. I'm glad that he's doing okay. Shout out to him. All of this generation that is leaving this cult, they're seeking out for other foundations, right? I don't know, other than the Aftermath Foundation, and I know that Aaron's going to get his up and going. What other foundations do we have out there that specializes in this specific type of trauma? There really isn't. So I'm not taking away from the Aftermath. I think that they have done great work from what I've heard. But to me, if the foundation is important, why do you have to be a board member when you were an executive of a cult? When you were up in the OSA office. That doesn't make sense to me. So you had power then, and then you come down to, not only are you not trauma informed, but you're also not really understanding what the people are asking of you. You're missing the point and the message. And that is the Darvo effect. I literally think that I have been somehow twisted and I've made out to be the bad guy. But here's the deal. I'm only the platform that she came to. I feel like their opinion and their voice is simply, it's valuable. The Headleys, Rinder, and all those other people, don't get me wrong, but their role as advisors would have been best served than board members. Married board members that vacation together and do their thing. And it's even more disappointing to me after watching Mike Brown. To me, I never even knew that, like, I always thought that Leah was not necessarily involved. But this, when she inserts herself, and then also Mike Rinder, Leah's name's all over the blog. So I'm assuming that she's giving the blessing for her name to be used while I'm being Darvoed, while other people that are, I'm not the victim. They are. Let me be very clear. I can stand the attacks. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, okay? But the victims that have went through stuff through this cult, that's them. That's the concern for me. So her name is up there. So not only has she given the blessing, because I'm assuming if you're going to use my name up on the blog, you're not Leah and I, every other sentence, Leah and I, Leah and I, Leah and I. I might make a shirt that says Leah and I, Leah and I. So to me, the gloves are off. Okay, it's Leah and you. We know. And a huge percentage of the people that are in the chat are not just former survivors of the cult. We are outsiders that were fans of the show or are fans of the show that happen to have a YouTube channel, that are subscribed to other people, that give commentary to this. So why aren't we afforded the same respect? You're buying the shirt, Leah and I? Leah and I mean, I don't know what else to say. Between F Tom Cruise and Leah and I, those are going to be my shirts for 2024.
Thank some people. And I'm just going to kind of take a look at it. And into this thing, he goes, my friends who helped me with unreserved kindness and generosity.
Now, let me give you guys some context on this. For those that have not watched it, I put the go sub up to Mr. Mike Brown. Okay, amazing. I'm new to his stuff, so he talks about the book. Okay, that Mike Rinder wrote, and he talks about like thanking the people that he thanked on that book. And there's one specific individual who happened to have harmed his mother that was thanked in this book. And he discusses an incident where clearly Mike Rinder has never really talked about it publicly, but it's now being disclosed. Another pattern. These aren't patterns that I'm putting out. These are patterns that have been set up. You can call me all kinds of David Miscavige's rabbits and all this bullshit, but you're deflecting, sir. You're deflecting, sir, and you're hiding behind Leah and I.
When I had nowhere to go, Tom DeVock, Ronnie and Biddy Miscavige, Jim and Sarah Mortland. That's cool. Let me, as anyone who has mentioned that I've shared any of my mother's story about, Ronnie Miscavige is
this is crazy.
A figure in my life and in my mother's life that is not a great memory for her. My mother worked for Ronnie for a number of years, and during the large portion of time that she was working for him, and he's the brother of David Miscavige, Ronnie Miscavige Jr., he was involved in very unethical things that were sexual in nature while she was his secretary, and he would expose himself to her. He would make her give him massages. And he would sometimes grope her. So those are the things that would happen.
Like
now, one instance that Rosemary shared with me.
Let me just say this: when Mike said this, I literally heard it, and I just like, whoa, Mike, what? Now I'm new to this side of stuff too. Let that sink in, okay?
And she shared this with me after all of this stuff started transpiring, and the Fort Greene response came with the fleas and dogs, and I knew that this was going to blow up. I talked to my mom and I said, "Hey, Mom, this stuff's going to blow up. I want you to know about it because I don't want you to be kind of caught off guard. Because for her, it's hard for her to quantify the importance of these things. Like I know if literally all this, like if everyone stops watching all this stuff, we'll just do it another way. It really doesn't matter. The work's going to continue no matter what. But for her, it seems significant. So I told her about this stuff, and she said, "Mike, I need to tell you something." And I'm like, "Well, what is it?" She's like, I haven't told you a certain thing about Mike Rinder. And I do have this recorded. I'm not going to play it because I'm not going to put her through this indignity. But she shared with me, she said, "Mike, one time on a Sunday morning, Kathy and Mike Rinder, they were in their room. The Rinders and the Miscaviges, they shared a residence. And then Ronnie and Biddy were in their room, and I'm pretty sure Biddy was asleep, dead tired because she was always working so hard. Ronnie had come out in his towel, and through his towel had an erection, and fully visible, and and I was out there ironing clothes and trying to make coffee and trying to do what I was supposed to do. And he then said he needed a back rub, so she had to go over there and start rubbing his back. While this was happening, and he had himself exposed, Mike Rinder walked out of Mike Rinder's room and saw this happening and said to Ronnie, "Ronnie, what the hell are you doing?" Giggled a little bit, grabbed a cup of coffee, and went to work.
Did he ever talk about this? Did he ever say anything about this? Did he ever mention this? No. What is he going to say? I forgot. I didn't know. But you want to deflect to me? You want to deflect to the other victims? I didn't put a gun behind, like he literally said what he said. Is Mike Brown also wrong? Lily, where are you? You gonna stand in front as well? You don't like what I have to say? Is that what it is? Yeah, right?
I'm going to tell you something about this. Isn't me just retaliating against Mike Rinder because I think he's a jerk for putting up that blog, which I kind of do. Um, my mother is not the kind of person that tells me lies, and she has absolutely no reason to tell me that unsolicited.
I don't think
She
she
told me
would
that,
have.
and I felt
Mm-mm.
she told me that about a day before I did my last video post, where I was trying to be extremely gracious in that last video with Mike Rinder, and I think I did a pretty good job. I tried to
And let me tell you, for those that have watched, I mean, apparently this same guy was arrested, apprehended, and charged at a massage parlor. The same guy that was doing this to people within the cult.
keep it. I tried to compartmentalize the way I was feeling, but I was very, very upset. I felt humiliated that I put her through sitting with him and Leah to do that video, not because she was in front of Leah, but because I made her sit in front of Mike. She went on to kind of say that she then went to that rehabilitation project for 6 years. Mike Rinder was still in that organization, working there, and knew what she had been through with Ronnie and that she was the one being targeted. He was still working there. She remembered one time when the executives came down to the mill. She recalled Guillaume Leserve, Mark Yeager, Jenny
Mm.
Linson, and Mike Rinder and possibly some others were there, and they were there in all of their suits and get up, looking down at all of these RPFers that were a lot of them from the international base because they had been kicked out, trying to figure out what to do with them. And she told me that she never felt so low in her life. So I am looking back on saying, "Hey, mom, it's really important for us to get this message out." And she's on board, like, "Yes, I'm going to share all this." And I'm like, "Hey, we can do this
Oh
video with
my
Leah and Mike. They're
gosh.
willing to do one with us. What do you think?" Okay. And I didn't know why she was acting kind of strange about it. And honestly, the video is not the best video we've done. I don't even think Leah posted it on her site. It's the edit of it's a piece of crap. Leah didn't edit it, but whoever did, it wasn't great. The video was rushed. It wasn't a great representation of her story. But I had the celebrity on there. I'm going to obviously post it. I felt horrible about putting her through that, but I did.
Mm.
I tried to compartmentalize my feelings about that, but anyway, it is what it is. So Mike is willing to thank Ronnie Miscavige in his book. He also thanks Aaron in this book, but he's willing to continue to have, I guess, admiration for Ronnie. Ronnie ended up leaving the Sea organization. He went on to get arrested by the FBI
There
for
you go.
solicitation,
There you
similar
go.
kind of crap. But not only that, it was solicitation on one of these massage parlors that the women that were involved in it were trafficked and were being put in situations where they were literally like trafficked children or young adults that were then made to be prostitutes. So this
Yeah. So I heard that and I had no words. I literally just I cannot I, let me just stop 1 minute. I'm going to try to find another timestamp. It What do you make of that? What do you say to that? To the people who say, "Well, this is this is just drama that you guys are bringing." Really? What about, so is that drama too? Is that how you minimize somebody's story because it doesn't fit the you guys have to get along, or it doesn't fit the why are you guys coming for Mike? Why? Nobody's coming for him. She was given a platform where she told her story. It didn't land very well with him. It doesn't land very well for them. We're talking about the brother, Bunny Bunny. This is the brother. Um, yes. Let me just acknowledge a couple of everybody's super chats. Thank you so much, Miss Kim says you don't have to defend yourself. You do great work. Thank you. Cheeks, thank you, says I think it's very telling whether or not ex-members commingle with never ends and it stick to their own. I think that's, Cheeks, and I was thinking about that because there is something about like, people, you mingle with what you know, right? You mingle with the people that you find some commonality with. Um if this group of people mingle with each other because there's something that they have something in common, maybe like a struggle or trauma, shared trauma, I completely understand that. I could see that. However, when does it become like when you start covering or omitting or try to dance around an issue for another person, that should be your biggest red flag, right? Sometimes it's interesting because my issue was never with the Headleys. I never addressed the aftermath with the questions. The questions, I didn't write the questions, like I've said. Miriam wrote the questions. I merely emailed those questions. I asked them in the body emailed, is there something more that you like? Can you answer these? If you don't want these answered, do you want to make a statement? Would you like an interview? There was never this, I don't want to get the other side. No, he was holding to the other side because he didn't feel like he could tell it. And I completely understand. Even the fact that he didn't answer the questions, I get it. I don't know if I would have answered the questions. I certainly wouldn't have sent a message through an attorney that would have said something about dogs and fleas because at this point, it all becomes in question. I don't even think that's truly even clear who's the dog and who's the flea. But there's one thing that Miriam pointed out yesterday that I think is very telling even now. In that clip from the BFG where he talked about silos and silos and silos, this is what a silo is. These are silos, right? That you have a population or a group of people that truly want to support victims that have donated money to this foundation under this impression that that's where it was going to go. And then there's all this backlash that follows. And then there's all this like silencing, and then there's all this side eyeing, and then there's all this pointing of who's Osa and Rabbit is an Osa, David Miscavige, right? Like all of that. To me, it's been interesting. I don't even like I said, I've interviewed a lot of people on my channel, a lot of victims. And not only has the cult victimized them, but y'all have re-victimized them as well by doing all of this. If I'm in that role, and I'm just gonna pretend for 1 second that I'm Mike Rinder, because I can only pretend for 1 second that I'm Mike Rinder, not for too much. I would hope that not only have I shared my story and wrote a book about it, but if there is a level of closure or understanding that I could bring to the victims, whatever it may be, that may mean that may be that I might be held liable because of something that I knew and I failed to say or failed to report. I would hope that I would give peace of mind to everyone that I've affected one way or another, whether it was directly or indirectly. Maybe I didn't know that I impacted them, but it was through hearing their story, through hearing them out, because not everybody's out to attack Mr. Rinder in a Scientology way, if that makes sense. Some people just truly want to know what is going on. If I was a New York Post or a New York Times, not a New York Post, a New York Times journalist, let me just say this. Let's just say that my credentials were of a New York Times journalist. And I decided to go revisit the aftermath stories from all of these victims. And I decided to actually give them the platform that in a 45, an hour, minute, or whatever video wouldn't have awarded them. And I just decided to clip all of their information and print it out. I would have received a lot more respect as a New York Times investigative journalist than what I am right now, right? I'm sure Mike Rinder would have sent shitload of attorneys to silence me or silence other people. Think about it that way, right? Because who's to say that a New York Times journalist can't go back there and say, I'm going to just go redo this, right? And and just understand what Miriam's story really was, or what Mike Brown's story really was, or what Liz or Lara FM, Who's all these people? I would have received a different level of response, right? But because it's me and I've decided to give Miriam a platform and whoever else a platform, that's the problem. Hold up, let me see. Hold up. Sorry, guys. Many people's eyes have been open regarding MR. Thank you, Kelly. They mingle because they know each other's secrets, says Vintage Mama. Um, Question. As a social worker, do you know if it's a HIPAA violation that her request for mental health care was shared in his blog, even though she had already spoken about it on social media? Deborah, no. A HIPAA is only applicable to like a doctor. So, like, if Mike Rinder was a doctor, or Mike Rinder was a therapist or a counselor, and he had posted something like that up, he is not that. That's not his role. So no, there would be no HIPAA violation for that. That would be a little bit different. It would be different. Say that and I'm not, by the way, I'm not Miriam's doctor, therapist, or provider. Let me be very clear. But if Miriam said, if I was and I was seeing her under that, right, under that umbrella, and I decided to post her information, that would be a huge HIPAA violation. Um, but in this instance, it's not. Smith says, will Rinder have conveniently forgot he saw and was complicit in essay in real time? I can't imagine seeing my roommate exposed and aroused, assaulting someone, continuing a relationship and forgetting never, says Spitz. Spit, this is what Mike has shared, right? And it's a culture thing, you guys. Like, this is part of this culture gap of stuff. And that's the piece that really concerns me, that if this foundation and its board members are interfacing with people that are just now leaving, are you trained enough to understand such situations like Spit has just pointed out? Thank you for the 9.99. That's the point, right? If this is how you're dealing with stuff, that is the point. Hold up. And by the way, I don't let me circle back, because I do think that love it. I did it. Not Mike, not anybody. Let me love it. I agree. Let me be very clear about something. I personally do feel like, a celebrity was needed to expose the church. I don't take away from Leah Remini's work. It's what is being dealt with right now, how things are being dealt with, that I just shake my head at completely. Katie says, hold up. I don't watch the mainstream media. I came to YT for the news I want to see. You deserve all the money you make plus more. Thank you so much. And you're not going to shame me for it. You cannot shame me. I've been doing this for quite some time at this point. You can't shame me for making money off of stories that I report, people that I interview. It is not. I'm transparent about it. You can't. HIPAA stretches to employment. Once she said it's not a violation unless going into details she never went over. Thank you, Liz, for clarifying that. Yeah, and I think, Liz, it even stretches to contracts, but you're absolutely right. Um, I want to thank everybody for not falling for the BS, for not being like, yeah, just I could definitely see in his blog that he knows what he's doing. He knows how to turn it around. He knows how to get people to attack other people. That's what I've picked up on. Hey, Mr. Poe, thank you for being here. Um, it's just wow. Would it be mean to start using MR bobbleheads as voodoo dolls? Oh no, don't do that. Let me tell you something. Unfortunately, I feel it sounds like he's ill. I don't know his personal stuff. I would never wish any negativity like that on him. I truly hope the best of health, but at the same time is you have people that want answers and they deserve it. That's all. That's it. So I want to go back to this little thing about this timestamp that was very telling to me. And I believe this is the right timestamp of when. Let me see if I can search it again. Leah, one second. Let's go back to here. I don't want to lead everybody on a. Oh, he mentions her like 20 different times. Was this it right here? He talks about Leah and how he never really wanted a beef with Leah, but that he got a call from Leah when everything was going down with Mike in terms of this docu-series. This right here was so telling to me. I was just like, wait a minute. And this is why I call Miss Leah out. Not because I don't like her. It's not about that. Not about that. Not at all.
That I ever have had between myself and Mark. I was like, why are you telling another creator to go fuck himself? Like, who are you to tell him that? So I tried to address that, and then okay, now that's happening. So I'm not feeling super great about this relationship, the stuff with Mike Rinder, like it's and Claire and Mike, and as I was continuing to talk to Claire, sorry, I hit the table and made a bunch of.
And by the way, Teeny says, question, why didn't you ask Mirriam if she recorded the call with MR? Why do I need to ask that? Can you ask me why I need to ask that? Do you feel like that was something that I needed to do on my behalf? I'm just kind of curious. And seriously, that would be my question. No, why would I need to? Why would I need to? Miriam shared what she wanted to share. I don't think I needed to ask her whether the call was recorded. But you tell me what your thoughts are. Shout out to you.
Noise. I was saying to her, I'm like, look, Claire, we're trying to figure out if we're going to do this documentary. I know you guys want to do it. I don't want my mother's documentary, if we're going to do this together, which we still need to work out whatever this business plan is, to be this like tied into this drama. I'm like, you guys have to handle this drama before we go forward on this. So let's just not deal with this, and we'll deal with it in January. So in January is around the time that Claire and I talk next. During this time, as you can see from the everything that I've shared, Mirriam and I start to have a dialogue and a conversation, and she's expressing problems that she's running into with Mike Rinder. I'm a little irritated because of all the stuff that I come up with. I'm not included in the conversation about this video. That's like the production plan on this is not great. So when I get on the call with Claire, I say, hey, I have concerns about this. It doesn't look like the PR has been handled. You guys have just gone radio silent. What the hell? And I'm like, I don't want to work with Mike Rinder on these things. I want to know if you guys are going to have a plan. What is the plan? I was very clear that I wasn't happy with what was going on with Mike. I didn't get into details about it. I didn't get into the.
And this was with regards even that situation. So they were trying to do like a docu-series or something. He didn't even know that this was going to be like a mainstream thing. Mike starts talking a little bit about that. Like he was surprised. You would have thought that, I mean, they're having their separate meetings about it. I'm just starting to think that this is very much Hollywoodish, you know, versus again going back to the victims and the regular schmegular people here. You know what I'm saying? And Mr. Poe says, Rabbit, if you knew all the calls that I've been getting, people trying to push on my empathy and trying to get me to change what I'm doing. Everybody, Mr. Poe, and you are a creator. Shout out if Ahmad can drop his channel in the chat. Look, if you guys knew how many stories outside of this I get emails about, how many people, how many things that are exclusives, and I could have just gone into it and really monetized and and taken myself. But you know what, guys? This and this have to connect. If this is not working, then this is not working. If this is working overtime, then this is behind. They have to connect, right? So everything's not made for going online. So even those exclusives that I get, I don't put them out there. I could. There's a lot that I could say. There's a lot that I could put out. But this and this, they have to connect. They have to talk to each other before I go out there doing all kinds of stuff. I'm telling you that there is so much out there that I could put out and really sensationalize and make myself the next big salacious blogger. But I don't want to do that. because I think about the fact that I'm a mom, I have a family, I have people that I respond to. Um, I think about other people, believe it or not. People attack me sometimes. They lie about me a lot. That's fine. They're right. But that's just how I see it. If one doesn't connect with the other, if I don't sleep, then my heart's not functioning well. If my heart's not functioning well, then my everyday life's not functioning well. Then my physical functions are horrible. Then I'm off. Yeah, that's just how I see it. This is why I get a lot of calls and I don't always respond to everything. And not that I don't want to, it's just that I can't.
What I was feeling, other than to try to keep it professional and say, I don't want to work with Mike. I'm not happy about the monetization plan on this thing. You owe me a business plan. And she still insisted that they would be producers on it, Mike included. And I say, well, give me a plan.
Mm.
And that's the last time that I have ever talked to Claire. Fast forward the stuff with Mirriam, I send Claire that email, strongly worded. I agree. But done so in an effort to hopefully defuse the problem that I saw coming. I was trying to give them a heads up, like, hey, there's some bad stuff going on. I wasn't trying to shit stir. I mean, I literally sent them that email. Like, I didn't send it to anyone else. I didn't send it to Aaron Smith Levin, like the guy
Mm.
that like literally has gone on to other things now. I didn't send it to anyone else other than them.
And it's interesting because even Mike Brown is getting crap. Like I was watching, like he's trying to direct his chat. He's like, I really wish you would have slept on this. When drama comes, who mentioned Mike Brown other than Rinder on his blog? Nobody else mentioned Mike Brown. Who brought up Jamie Mustard? And that's the other thing too. Why is this like this is the piece that I don't get. Nobody would have known anything about this situation had he not mentioned Mike Brown, had he not mentioned Jamie. Y'all see the problem with this? Anybody else see the issue with this? He brought him up. So when he says, drama I never expected, they came knocking to my door, he's absolutely correct.
Friday,
He kept his cool.
25 July, about 5 days after I get the I really didn't want to even go over this. 5 days after I send that email and hadn't heard anything back, and I mentioned in my I mentioned in the whole thing that I hadn't gotten any answer, the last video that I did, and that's true. That the answer in an email form. What I wasn't forthcoming about is that on Friday at about 10:30 in the morning during business hours, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize because it was blocked. It said caller ID blocked. And it wasn't like a telemarketer, because telemarketers always are trying to figure out where your area code is, and it's coming through on that. So I picked it up and and when I answered it, I did not at first recognize the voice. And then after I clarified who it was Leah. And I'm not going to get into all of the details about this call because we went back and forth for a while about this. And I was very clearly trying to keep the subject on the complaints that I was trying to address with Mirriam. And I instantly started getting attacked. I was asked, and there's some people in the chat that they're disappointed with me getting involved in the drama. Okay. The drama has like crawled up on my doorstep and is now calling me on the phone.
Exactly.
I was told, I cannot believe you would question Mike Rinder after all the help that was given to your mother. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're obviously not part of our team. You might be against Scientology, but I don't get why you're against us. And there were a bunch of ugly things that were said.
So this is what Miss Lily said to Mike Brown, right? That was okay. You have somebody with influence, power, money who's calling you, okay, to tell you all that. You see how bad that is? So, ma'am, either you're in the foundation or you're not. Either you're with the shits or you're not. Which one is it? Yeah. This is why I'm telling you guys have to watch this video. to then say in his blog that I'm saddened that Mirriam has been led down a path that exploited her trauma and pain. Nobody, ma'am, sir, everybody, Mirriam reached out to me. This was something that she wanted to do. And clearly, this Mike Brown speaking supports that too.
I don't respond well to people calling me out of the blue without like scheduling a call and trying to issue me like a bad boy, you need to stand down, bend the knee sort of
Mm-hmm.
conversation. So I pushed back, and what the things that were being said didn't make sense to me. And I asked her a question. I'm like, "You're calling me about questioning Mike with respect to this. Have you read the email that I sent Claire?" And the answer was no, she hadn't. She was
Mm.
responding to her friend. Um, and the heartache that I had caused to him by sending this email. And I made it very clear that I'm going to hang up the phone unless you let me read the email. And this went back and forth for a while, but not a whole lot was resolved as part of it.
You
Let me
know,
be clear. I was very
here's the question though, Crystal. If I'm being criticized, why can't anybody else be criticized? Like, even if that is the case, sometimes we make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. Don't get me wrong. But if the lady was calling him and she didn't get all of her information, just like yesterday when we were talking about this attorney, does this attorney, Mr. Ford Green, have all the information that is needed as far as what he's speaking on and what is going on? It just makes you wonder, does everybody have their information, or are they being clouded at the fact that they truly believe and they feel, and I'm sure that he's a nice person and he's repentant and he's doing different things to call certain things to attention. I get that. But what gives you the right to then lead an attack the way in which you have, using your former tactics or your tactics that you used to use in Scientology? Because that was a lot of Darbo-ish stuff. I felt like he turned that against myself, against Aaron, against Mike, against Jamie Mustard, even against Mirriam and others that felt some type of way about this. Mm. So for those, because there was people that were tagging me on Twitter, are you going to apologize, Rabbit? For what? For what? I would agree with you on that one. For what exactly? For what? For he was holding on to the information. He was asked to give a statement. No, I'm not going to apologize. I'm serious. I had people tagging me, "Are you going to apologize?" No, I'm not. For what? I don't feel like I need to.
much trying to advocate for a shitstorm of a problem that I saw that Miriam was involved in, and I was trying to defuse that. And then to be told like you're not part of this team. I've been trying to
Mm,
straddle this fucking team for a bit, and I didn't want to be on
mhm.
either side of either one. I wanted us to all work together, and I want to share my mother's story. But when I have friends that are telling me that there is a problem that they're running into, and I have a line to talk to this organization, I'm going to use that. And if that makes me a shitty person and a shit stirrer, then that's just the way it is. But that's kind of what happened, and I didn't appreciate it. And I had no intention of ever even talking about this, because what I don't need this to be about is a celebrity that has a beef with me because she is trying to defend her friend because she doesn't have all of the information.
There you
Again,
go.
I'm going to be very clear. I think Leah's work is pivotal. I think what she has done is extraordinary. I do not have a beef with Leah. And I think that all of this it could have been handled better if people were willing to handle it in a direct manner and not have this sort of crap occur.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what the conversation she had before calling me. And I don't even care. It doesn't even matter. And all I can say is that it was not the response I was expecting. I was either expecting no response or a phone call from somebody that I wrote the email to. Let me just put it that way. So the rest kind of ended up, at this point, I was, one of the things that was said to me is, we've already talked to Miriam. We've handled Miriam. Now we're calling you. No one called Miriam. Like Miriam didn't like, she didn't get off the phone with Miriam and then call me. That didn't really happen. I don't, anyway, there was a bunch of things that
It's
transpired. I'm very
crazy.
sure that I offended Leah, and she kind of offended me. And I'm unhappy about how that dialogue went down, both what the things that I was saying and the things that she was saying. So I don't want to get into the details on that. And I don't want people hating on Leah. I want people to know that she's not necessarily unbiased about it, because she's, I think being put in a situation where she has to pick sides, and I doubt she likes it very much. All right, so I tried to.
I would agree with you on that. Shout out to him. Mike Brown is very generous. I would say so, because I'm gonna tell you, I would have lost my ish right away. You have somebody, a celebrity, and I get it. To a certain degree, I have respect for the fact that she is the only, um, celebrity other than all the ones that they have that has brought this. I don't take that away from that queen. Like, don't get me wrong. I give her her flowers and her crown for that. But the problem that I have is that you're walking into situations where they're either you've already made up your mind, which is fine if you've made up your mind, or you're ill informed, or you say you're not in the mess, but yet your name is brought up. It was brought up all over on that blog, and it's being brought up now with this conversation. So which one is it? Like, you can't have it both ways. And that's the piece that I don't understand. What I did before was I talked about I never really dragged Leah. I never really said anything, even during the Aftermath Foundation stuff. Um, But I had to trust my gut in certain instance. I did. And shout out to hold up, Lauren says, Rabbit, from the beginning of all this November, I appreciate your neutral breakdown to figure out what really was going on. Lauren, that's what it was. And you weren't immediately Team Marion. I wasn't. You chased down the facts. You're absolutely right. And ever since then, I don't I don't everybody's been really nice to me to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's been very welcoming. And they have reached out to tell their side. And um, why Aaron Smith Levin told his side here. And one thing that was said to me is that I was able to see both sides of a situation. And I'm glad. I'm glad. And I thank him for it. I'm glad that he trusted that. But that is the theme, trust, right? It's a theme, trust. The irony, that Leah was destroyed for dare asking the question about Shelley. She might as well. You don't have the rank to ask the question. Hey, I wasn't that the whole story behind that? Like, thank you. I stand with Miriam for the 4.99. That's how I understood it. Like, she was asking what happened to Shelley. She was at the. I think I still remember the story. She was at the Tom Cruise wedding with Katie Holmes, and they were there. And so then she asked the question of where is where is Shelley? And she got, in trouble, and all these police reports about where is Shelley. All this stuff started to come out. So then Mike gets a call with the same kind of vitriol. How dare you? It's interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. Right. What weren't they the insults? And then the cult turned against her. She was immediately a suppressive, person. And that's the thing, Lauren, and shout out to everybody in the chat. That is the thing. Have we name called anybody? Now, have I dropped some F bombs? Sure as hell have. Will I drop F bombs today? Yes, I will. And tomorrow? Absolutely. But I've never called them out of their names. I've never, it only took how many months for the keyboard warrior apology to come out? 3 months? 4 months? It took him that long? I didn't mean to. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I not have rank to ask about this, right, Tanya? You don't. You don't have rank. You guys don't have rank. We can't ask questions. Neither can I. I guess there's a rank. You don't have the rank to ask the questions. Thank you. So that's what it was. Nobody has any rank, and I think that was like, whoa, isn't this like pot me kettle right here? Who's the pot and who's the kettle here? Which one is it? He can't ask questions? Who called Leah when she was asking about Shelly Miscavige? Was it David too? Was it somebody else who told her you don't have rank? Kind of like how he's getting the call from Leah. How dare you? Which one is it? Y'all understand how bad this is? Thank you so much. Says, just so hurt over this. Needs to be covered. Needs to cover. But seems to be victimizing the victims all over again and all blurring the ultimate goal. Stomping out this damnable cult. Go Rabbit. Yeah. Thank you, Gary. Anyways, I have no words anymore. I don't know what else to say. Um, at the end of the day, again, I don't feel like I need to justify myself anymore. I personally don't feel like I owe apologies to anybody. Um, if anything, I owe thank yous to a lot of people. And you know what? I feel like I will say this. I do want to thank somebody. I want to thank Mike Rinder because I've learned so much about him in the last, sorry, I had to mute myself. In the last, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. I mean, I kind of knew some stuff before, but never really thought about it. But yeah, that's all. I don't I don't have anything against him. I wish him the best. There's nothing else for me to say about him. You know what I'm saying? And Private Tom, thank you so much. Shout out to Mr. Private Tom. He's always sending me great emails. Mike Ritter was trying to leverage Leah to handle Mike Brown. Sounds like Osa tactics to me. Same old dog with the same old tactics, in my opinion. Thank you for the $5, sir. And thank you. I do get your emails. Very I can't respond to all of them, but I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that sends me emails. I just don't always respond to everybody. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Thank you for the shout out. I guess I don't know. Um, yeah, thank you. That's all. Let me shout out some people before I head out. And if we have to talk about this, we'll definitely talk about it. But of course, you guys know that I'm not. I have other content to cover. We have other true crime stuff that I'm following as well. Um, for those that say I only came to the scenes before this. No, it's not. That's totally not true. I have been around and I've been talking about Scientologies for about a year and longer, if not. So shout out to us. Tiggs, thank you for becoming a member. Jen, thank you. Wim, thank you for gifting memberships. Chico, thank you. Wim, thank you for gifting again. You guys are awesome. Thank you for gifting memberships. And thank you. You do dope work. Proud to be a supporter. Thank you, Ann, for being a member for 5 months. Michael, thank you for being here. Miss Kim, thank you again for becoming a member. I'm just trying to read these before I have to head out. I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't know what else to say other than that. Um, actions speak louder than words in this situation, as they say, right? And every voice should matter. I'll see you guys on the next one. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. And shout out to everybody in the chat. Rabbits out, guys.